Alright, today I basically wanted to talk a little bit about modifiers today for modeling. Um, I'm just going to start with a simple box here. Um, so when you're looking at modifiers and stuff like that, a lot of people tend to not realize what a modifier can do for you. Alright, take for example the bend modifier. You know, if I were to take this and bend it, um, let's look at it. Um, all right, so one. So say I was to take a look at this, and I want to bend this, um, or rotate it around. Say I'm doing like a light post or something like this. What I could simply do is add that bend modifier in there, and bend it in the direction that I need. And now I can collapse this and turn this into a uh, editable mesh, which I don't use anymore, editable poly, and then from there you can actually go and extrude what shape you need. But the bend modifier gives you a good foundation to very simple, very fast curve your object. Okay, so that's one method that you guys can do. Um, the cap hold method is pretty much self-explanatory. I don't use it much, especially since the editable polys are built into there. Edit mesh and edit poly, these are used on stacks. Face extrude, again, I don't use that much anymore. The lattice modifier is another nice one. Sometimes when you want to create something simple, I don't recommend doing this in, let's go like this. So I don't recommend this in, any particular methodology. But say I'm going to create something very simple, like a gate that's going to be in the background, and I'm going to look at this, in the background. Let's just do something like this, and I'm just going to rotate this up real quick here and move it up here. So let's zoom in on this. So lattice modifier is something really simple. I use it quite a bit actually when you're creating stuff. But what the lattice modifier does is it takes all the existing vertices and edges and turns them into geometry. So you can actually go and add in, if you just need joints like a minefield or something like that, or if you're doing just the struts. So if you real simple way to create lattice for a window, or you can do both to create like the old iron gates. It's a nice way to create a simple object that you ain't going to put a lot of detail on in the background. And I've even seen some of the other people use the lattice modifier to actually control stuff that they're doing in there. So let's, for an example, is I'm going to just convert this plane to an editable poly. Excuse me. And say you want to draw in here your geometry, and we're just going to create like a design in there. And then what you want to do is you want to add that lattice modifier in there, which I passed up. There we are. And you can actually just do struts only, or you can do the joints, and then you can control the joints, you can control end cap segments, you can control all of this. You can even turn the joints into different types, octagon, tetragons, and change the material type and so on. So the lattice modifier is actually a really nice modifier to use. It gives you a nice base start for a foundation. So that's another one that you can kind of play with. The melt modifier is another one when you want to essentially relax something. So let's just do, say, a geosphere. And we put a geosphere on here. And I'm just going to zoom up in here. and we're going to add in this melt modifier. And the melt modifier is you can control how much you want. So it's a really nice way to get a base foundation, and you can control the percentage of melt that you're going to do, and you can control whether it's going to be like jelly or plastic, or so if you want to deform something very quickly, that's a great way to do it. Another thing is the FFD boxes, which I kind of passed up before, but let's go here and say this lattice modifier. You wanted to bend this lattice. Let's just simply add a 2D by 2D box on there. Actually, no, I'm going to dump this, and then you can add a 3D. So let's say we just want to do one corner. So instead of adding, working on all these corners, I can just grab this and manipulate the corners the way I want. Say I want this to bow a little bit. I can just grab all these, and this is a real quick way to get some dirty modeling in, if you will. So those are something simple to do. Now the FFD box, you can use the box or the cylinder, and you can actually control how many your own points you put on there, and that's a great way to do it. A noise modifier is another way. Say you want something with a little bit of randomness to it. So if you add the noise modifier in there, right here, by adding this noise modifier in there, and you can actually just kind of up your seeds. Let's change this, and even though we're not seeing much, let me go like so, and then change my scale. Now, as you can see, as I'm changing this noise modifier, it's changing it very, very slightly. But if I up this to 25, 25, and 25, now I actually get a lot more noise in there, and you can actually control the amount, and you can go in and rough it up a lot more. And if you want just a little bit of randomness in there, that's a great modifier to go on and add it in there. Then it saves you a lot of work. I generally don't do the optimize that much. I like hand optimizing. I know it's slow, but it works for me. The other one is that I like using is the shell modifier, and I'll have to do some new geometry here for the shell. So say you've got, let's just do say we're doing a glass, something simple. Here's this, here's like so, and now instead of intruding and extruding all this stuff, I would convert this to an editable poly. I would go in and to the top side, and I delete the top side, and then what you can do is go in and add the shell modifier in there. And what the shell modifier does is I can change the inner amount here, and now I've got an interior version of this cup. And if you look at the transparent view, basically I've created an inside shell for this complete modifier, and it tries to match the outside as much as possible. All right, so that's another modifier that saves you some time and effort. And I like using symmetry as well. Symmetry modifier is a good modifier to play with, and you can play with the spherify. Say you want a round shape to this, so you can actually add in there with the spherify right there, and it'll actually round out that shape for you. So there's a lot of things that a lot of the modifiers, and I really recommend playing with them, just to kind of see, and going through a lot of these modifiers will actually just help you, they'll help you with basically creating objects that you need. And let's go here. So like the ripple modifier. Let's zoom in there. So they help you a lot with just creating stuff that, you know, instead of doing it manually, you can just go through and kind of work on it really fast, really easy, and get what you need out of it. Such as the ripple where was that? The ripple modifier. Where? There we go. So like ripple, if you want the ripples of a wave, you know, or a pattern in a ceiling for a ceiling tile, or you can control all of this, how many waves you have, and you can actually animate this for a water if you so choose, for like a drop or something like that. But overall, it's a good modifier to play with. Yeah, actually, you can control 1 and 2, and you can get some nice patterns in there accordingly. And then one final one is twist. If you want some geometry to twist, instead of trying to twist it yourself, simply get a modifier to do it for you, like so. And that'll actually save you a lot of time and effort. Alright, so that's just kind of some tips and tricks real quick to play with the modifiers and then just collapse them into what you want. Collapse them all to an editable poly when you're done with it and the way you like it, and then manipulate it from there. So I hope that helps. Alright.